Well, greetings, friends, and welcome to Begin by Praying. We're going to wrap up our series on a vibrant prayer life today. Now, in the past few weeks, we've taken a look at the roles that honesty and praise and thanksgiving and obedience play in developing a vibrant and effective prayer life. Today, we're going to top off this series with the principle that God uses to strengthen our faith and polish our prayers. Perseverance. Before we talk about what it means to persevere in prayer, let's talk about what it doesn't mean. Perseverance does not mean hammering away at God day and night until we get the answers we want to our prayers. That's not likely to happen anyhow. And if that's the program you're on, then I can pretty much guess you've got a very frustrating and unproductive prayer life, if you have one at all. Remember, the goal of prayer is to draw closer to God than we've ever been, so that we can hear clearly what He has to say to us. It's His answers to our prayers that we should be seeking, not our own. When we get our desires lined up with what God desires for our lives, then we begin to see Him move in response to prayer. Let me explain what this looks like. More often than not, our prayers don't get answered right away. That's because God uses this time of prayer to strengthen our faith muscles. It's in this time of waiting that God reveals Himself to us, and our faith gets stronger. James says it best in James chapter 1, verse 4. Listen to this. Because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. And perseverance must finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking in nothing. Those verses make it clear that God always has a bigger issue at stake than simply answering our prayers the way we want Him to. He wants us to become more like Jesus with each passing day, and developing patience is a big part of that work. So what's God doing when He doesn't respond to our prayers right away? He's taking our prayer requests and He's shaping them and molding them, sifting them, pounding them, throwing them in the fire and burning the impurities off of those requests until they become what He wants for us. And then He hands that request back to us and tells us to pray along these lines until He brings it to pass. But we can't even get to that point in our prayer lives where God's desires become our desires until we first understand that prayer is not about getting things our own way. The most convincing evidence we have that God is real and He really does answer prayer comes when we surrender our will to His sovereign knowledge for our lives. Then we begin to see Him move in response to our prayers. So I want to encourage you here. It takes time for God to answer prayers, but that's not wasted time. In His school of waiting, He's training us to trust Him more and more each day and to become more like Jesus. I hope you've enjoyed this series on prayer. I can honestly say I've learned a lot by studying it and applying it to my life, and I hope you've learned a lot too. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions or comments you may have. The addresses are coming up. I'll be right back here next week with a brand new message. Until then, you keep your eyes on Jesus and not on your troubles. Thank you.